Hi, welcome. We are women, we are wise, and it's Wednesday. So obviously, it's Wednesday Wisdom Women time. And I'm really excited for our guest that we have today. We have Brenna joining us, Brenna Keeley, a human design expert, coming to share her time with us today. So I'm so excited for that. And I am really thrilled that this is like the fourth session of season 2 of Wednesday Wisdom Women. And it's like something beautiful just keeps coming out of this each time. I've started pulling cards live, like with our guest at the end. We've done a little bit of mindfulness. And essentially where this came from was a place where we can discuss and sort of ponder the deep questions of like, what has formed us? Who are the empowered women in our lives that have influenced us the most? So with that, I'm going to bring Brenna on in so she can... All right, here it comes. It's connecting, it's loading, and it's loading. Here we go.
Hello.
Hey, Brenna.
How are you? You look so beautiful in fall today.
I went very maroon.
Yes, I love it. It's a good color for you, and your hair looks so beautiful. Your nice curls.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you too. I always love your Venus. I always love I
Oh,
call it your Venus wall that I see
thank
it in
you.
there.
Yes, my Botticelli to your Italian roots, your Italian heritage too, which I know we spoke about a couple times.
It's awesome. Yeah, thank you. And thanks for coming today. I I will share a bit of how I met Brenna. Brenna is one of our sisters in the beautiful Red Rose Circle that we go to out in the Poconos. Brenna's in the Poconos in New Jersey. And I met her and it just completely was like drawn to her immediately. Like she has something to share with me. I need to talk to her. And she certainly did. And she was able to lead one of our circles as well out there. And along with, and I'm sure you'll share so many other wonderful things that you're doing in the work that you do with human design. So I'll pass it to you. Just tell us a little bit about what you do.
Sure, yes. So my name's Brenna. I'm a human design reader, mentor, and astrologer. I primarily do a lot of one-on-one readings, but also mentorship for women who are growing in their business. So I have a lot of women who are like, I studied this career path. I've done this thing for so many years. And like, now what do I do with it? How do I make this something that's sustainable? And I really like to use their human design and their astrology as a perfect guide and roadmap that is specific to them. I'm a really big advocate on using somebody else's energy and remaining an objective observer of how to get them from A to B versus like what my exact rinse and repeat formula is for them, because I think any good mentor is able to really distill that down really well. So that's been a lot of my time. I actually just went and saw after an 8-week cycle with one of my mentees yesterday. She went from being terrified to public speaking to speaking at an event with 230 people yesterday. So yeah, and I work with people like I have 2 clients in Alaska, so I don't always get to see them in real
Yeah.
life. But she was only 2 hours away from me, so it's a really I love being able to use it online for what it's worth, but also when I can see my people in person, there's just as you know, like something about the somatic ability to just hug somebody that really is very helpful when we're doing work online, but also having an impact in the real world.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Like I think we did our best during certain years where we had to just connect the best way we could and then when we got back together like, "Oh, I forgot about this.
Yes.
This is so
So
nice."
true. I know, like, wow, you are real. I can touch you. You are a 3D human being.
I know. And part of me is holding tight to a lot of it because I think I
Yes.
really enjoy being alone sometimes and having that
Yes.
space.
Well, it totally makes sense for your human design and mine too. People are actually very surprised when I am more like they realize I'm an introvert, and I tell them that because I can be very social, but that comes with a lot of introverted time and a lot of self reflection and just reading and pouring into my own cup. So whatever is able to run over, that's what I pour from.
Yep. Ditto over
Yes.
here.
Yes. It makes so much sense. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I think what I was thinking about for our talk today, it was something that came up for me a bunch this week. It was like thinking about like the ease of life. I know in yoga they talk about sukha and like this kind of ease of living, and I feel like your human design definitely offered a little more of that in a lot of ways of like, sorry, I'm itching my nose, allergies.
Yes.
The way that, we can fight against maybe not our natural state in a lot of ways. So that came up. I don't know if that's going to come up in our conversation
Sure.
later, but that was something that was kind of naturally coming into our time, I think, together today. But I always ask my guests if you would love to just give us a minute for anybody watching to just get into that space where they can really absorb what we're going to talk about today and connect with
Yes.
themselves.
Yes, absolutely. So I figure when we were talking about planning this, I would do a little body scan and just a grounding exercise that's really important
Mm-hmm.
for me, but also there's, 5 energy types in human design. I'm a manifesting generator, you're a generator, so we're very tapped into our sacral space. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we feel like we're these untethered balloons that are, floating around in the ether during crazy astrological times with a full moon coming up on Thursday. So with that being said, I figured we would just start with our feet planted on the floor and just do a little bit of a body scan, just kind of an active meditation, I like to call it, just to ground ourselves. So if you want to, with me, close your eyes and then just rest your hands on the tops of your thighs with your palms facing up. And just take a deep breath in and then out through the mouth. The louder, the better. We'll do it one more time. And starting with thinking about your feet being firmly planted on the floor, I just want you to think about how your heels and all 10 of your toes are really grounded into the earth, creating a good anchor point for you, following with the ability to relax your shins up into your knees, and then from your knees to your thighs, feeling where you're sitting, or even if you're standing, you could do the standing. And just feeling really supported by the chair and the earth underneath you. And then I want you to come to your pelvis, your root chakra, your belly button, your sacral. Maybe you sit up a little taller in your chair. And just relax your belly and your sit bones into the seat of the chair. Then come up through your heart space, your chest, thinking about rolling your shoulders back, again, sitting up a little taller. Rolling your shoulders back so that your shoulder blades sit upright and behind. Opening up the front body, your chest bones, your collarbones. And relaxing your arms, the weight of your arms down, and letting them be supported by your thighs. And I want you to think about straightening your head so that the top of your head shines upright, relaxing the muscles of your face, your jaw, your eyes, your forehead. And thinking about the space above your head, your crown, and how it shines upward, ready to receive any universal wisdom, anything that is validation for what you need to hear in the half hour we have together today. We're going to close with one more cycle of breath. So take a big inhale and then let it out as loud as you can. And then if you wiggle your fingers and toes, adjust a little bit in your seat, you can flutter your eyes open. And just get us into the space. Yeah, of course. I do that as much as I can during the day because I can be all over the place doing many different things. And I like to respond instead of react in my life. And that has been a very big lesson for me over the last even 5 to 10 years of my life. So that's something that if I can impart that wisdom onto anyone else that's here and then remind myself, it's like I remind myself to live by the rules that I teach by doing things like that. So I like to impart it any way that I can for anyone that finds it helpful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, that's the only reason I do this work
Yes.
is so I remember.
Yes, it's true. It's like we're our own accountability buddies. I'm like, I need to make sure I keep my side of the street clean as best as possible while still, allowing myself to be human and make mistakes at the same time. So it's always that dance.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that permission. The respond versus react is like
Yeah.
key. And I feel like your grounding exercise is just one of those things that is like a tool towards that. I don't think we naturally are born that way. It's just like,
No.
let me think about this a minute. Let me
Right.
respond to that.
Right. Right. Let me take a beat. Let me pause. Yeah, because it's a world that
Mm.
wants you to, once you are presented with a decision, they wanted you to decide yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, once you make the decision, oh, it's already too late. Now let's go, go, go. I think especially living in just the tri-state area, it's just
Mhm.
energetically promoted by our proximity. You know, when we're flanked between Philly and New York City, it's a lot of energy in one place. So anything that helps us.
Yeah, it's very weird going out into the Poconos. Sometimes I'm like, where are all
Yes.
the planes? Where are all
Yes.
the...
I
I mean, they're
know.
there, but it was less. It's just less of that movement, I think.
Yeah, super helpful. I find like I love being able. Get a few glimmers of plains every once in a while, but before we moved to the Pocono Mountains, we're actually right on the border of New Jersey and Pennsylvania in PA now.
Uh-huh.
And but we used to live 20 minutes from Newark Airport before we moved here. Almost, it was a year and a half ago. So that a little bit of that helpful energy, but it's allowed me, I think, really to grow in my work, allowing myself to slow down and be in a little bit of a slower space.
Mm-hmm.
So it was an unintentionally, I was grateful for it because it was like a somewhat sudden planned move,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
it's been really nice. Just, I think it speaks to our environment being so much more impactful than we really realize, but us also being able to have a lot of control as to how we respond in our environment, even when it's not ideal. So finding that balance.
I love that you said that because it's so true about like creating your nest, creating whatever suits your design in a
Yes.
way that allows you to continuously do your work in whatever form that is,
Yes.
in a natural way.
Yes.
Thank
It's
you.
true.
Yeah,
Of
I
course.
have to remember that.
Yes.
Well, all right. So I'm going to move on to our questions for
Sure.
today. In these Wednesday Wisdom Women groups, I've always asked the same two questions, and I've been slowly sort of taking the feedback and pulling like little words about like not just your experience, but what you feel like empowerment is. And I just think there's some like beautiful wisdom coming out of this. But let me give it to you. So the question first for you, Brenna, is who in your life, growing up or as an adult, were the role models of empowerment, the women that either, and I always offer this to people, that it could have been the opposite of empowerment and it inspired you to do the opposite, or like I would love to hear how your experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I mean, when I was thinking of this, just because I've watched your replays back, or when I've tuned in live, been able to watch your live sessions, and my grandmothers were always really impactful for me.
Mm,
I feel like that's a common thread through for a lot of women, but both for what they provided, but what they also weren't able to do
mhm,
in their life. I always say that I'm really aware in a healthy way that I don't know how much sand is left in my hourglass. And they really reminded me of how to make the most out of life, but also the things that they didn't get to do, the travels they didn't get to go on,
mm,
just because they were born in a time where they just financially couldn't afford it. They were the homemakers, and then a lot of times also the primary breadwinners in
mhm,
my family.
mhm,
So I really live my life now taking their hard work ethic that they've instilled into me, but also their ability to relax into accepting where they are without constantly feeling like it's everything is a 5 alarm fire, although they both struggled with anxiety in a lot of ways, not to be lost
who doesn't?
on me. I know, it's so true. I actually had a friend that said to me, well, if you are paying attention to the world at large, like it's normal for everyone to have a little bit of anxiety, and if you don't, I want to know what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah.
um, but yeah, so my grandmother's, and then as what I used to watch on TV, and I'm talking from like when I was little, I loved, and I just did a carousel of that with a bunch of different chefs
Mhm.
in terms of showing like little human design tips. I love Ina Garten, who is the Barefoot Contessa.
Oh
He
yeah.
worked for the government, and then basically left that job to pursue her passions out on East Hampton and opened up her storefront. And
Mm.
is just like a really big role model in terms of just like letting go of what you thought was going to be really good, even if it's successful in pursuit of your dreams. And then I love Nigella Lawson just for her banter. So there's like funny English humor that I love. And yeah, so I really studied A lot. Even if I didn't have like direct role models 100% in my real life, I really studied and watched TV from the lens of like following the arc of these women and how they became successful or became on TV or just like really empowered in themselves. So I don't ever yuck anyone's yum with watching TV because I know that you can also use it as a tool, not a form of escape, to learn a lot when you don't have maybe the role models in your life that you need to ground you. So
I think you are. Because I remember when I did this series back in spring, that was
yeah.
one of my questions, like, or a celebrity,
Oh
and
yes,
I think you're the first one to mention a celebrity, and I have a lot of celebrity
yes,
role models. I was like,
yes,
I
yes,
was always the films, the movies, the stories. I mean, it's an art form of the human journey in a lot of ways. And there's so many amazing stories of women in film or in reality television, especially reality television,
yes,
that can just give us a glimpse into like another possible way.
yes. It's funny you said that, and because I remember we talked about Lady Gaga and how she's a mutual.
Yeah.
I forget her sun sign off the top of my head, but I'll look her up. But then speaking of reality TV, I'm also a big Bravo
Yeah.
person. And I always admired Margaret Josephs, who's on The Real Housewives of New
Uh-huh.
Jersey. And I actually ended up meeting her in January and then read the human design for her and 11 of her childhood
Oh my
friends at her
gosh.
home in
Uh-huh.
April. And talking about synchronicities of my grandmother, and I talk to her every day as if she's still alive. The name of the street that Margaret lives on is the exact same name and spelling of my grandmother's street, like, and
Oh
her
my
home street.
gosh.
And I've never heard or seen another street name that was that name before. Yeah, and just it was a really cool synchronicity, and I felt like, oh, I knew that I manifested this. Like this is my manifestations coming to life, and really just made me like, it was a big moment of my success of 2024, like when I go back and reflect on this year and just being able to sit at a table, and she's very welcoming, and just watching her live her design and reading her chart and reflecting back on things I've seen on the show and being like, oh, there's that fiery Aries sun and where that's coming through and why you're perfect for TV. And so I've had the pleasure of working with a couple celebrities before that and since then, but it's really just knowing that we're all people at the end of the day that want the same kind of success for ourselves and our families, and we all have this little unique blueprint in the way that we get there.
Hmm.
And it's a really helpful reminder, and I see this with Margaret so much, of just like beating to your own drum, believing radically in yourself and not comparing your lane to anybody else's. And like when you go with that, that's when you really become successful. And it really isn't success in comparison, it's success to like what your North Star is, and leading with that, like with unabashed, tenacity and excitement, it was cool to see that in real life too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So, what were some of her empowerment traits? I heard a lot of like she
Yes.
knew herself, it sounds
Yes.
like, and what
Yes.
is.
I also think that she's just when somebody is on reality TV, sometimes you can get reduced down by people that are also in the cast alongside you.
Hmm.
And I think that depending on editing and
Yeah.
storylines, right? Like there are certain narratives that are played out. And so, I think that in reflection, like of also being a consumer of reality TV, but also knowing her personally, like she's just a very smart businesswoman. And
Mm.
I think that that's something that I saw even more so just knowing her more personally in real life and meeting her at a work event in January. And just very much so, she has this quality that's called like the Genius Freak channel. And it's very much about like being so ahead of your time. And both her and her mom, actually, I met her mom, Marge Sr. She's named after her mom, which is already
Oh,
progressive and cool in and of itself. And
yeah.
she has this ability to really be very strategic and just a lot smarter than I think people give her credit for or even
Mhm.
realize. Even though it's highlighted, I think she's light years ahead and very much so a trendsetter in a lot of ways. So it's cool to see.
And that's brave to be that and embody it, but it sounds like it's her natural state to
Yes.
kind of be in that. It
Yes.
sounds like.
And that's what makes for good TV. Like, people don't want to watch people that are exactly like them. They want to you want to watch something that's like for somebody that is different from you, or has more than you in one way, shape, or form, or just has done something that's unique or different. I'm really thankful that, like, over time I've curated close friendships where all of us, hey Abriel, all of us does something different. So it's like, I have my friend Ryan, who I've known since I'm 11 years old. He's an incredible photographer and a Virgo rising and a Pisces sun like me. But, like, I have everyone I say in my life that very much has their own pedestal, where we're all, under the umbrella of making people feel good, but we all do it in a different way. And I always love, when I'm talking to somebody, I'm like, oh, okay, like, that's Rachel's 2-5, and then her 2 is why she likes to hermit, and she's a Sag sun, so she needs a little bit of that, like, free flowing. And it makes sense that she loves, like, walking and exercising, because Sagittarius rules the legs. And like, I categorize all my friends and the people in my life in that way, to really be like, okay, so when I have X friend that needs Rachel for this thing, I can connect them. And then everyone having their own time that they're meant to connect and help each other. A little bit of a tangent, but just also, I think, important to share.
What is that like for you? I would love to hear, like, just having this, I almost feel like it's like Google glasses of just like, I see something else people aren't seeing. What does that feel like for you to be in that role?
Some days it could feel overwhelming. I'm not gonna lie. I feel a little bit like I'm in a fishbowl looking out, is the best way I can describe it. Where I really have learned how to use it as a tool for connection rather than detachment, and seeing people as other in an unhealthy way, because I think it could be isolating if you think about differences too much, right? So I always try to use it to find, like, even if I don't understand this person 100% in their entirety, what's at least a connecting factor that we can share? I was at a networking group yesterday, I had said earlier, with 230 women yesterday. And some people you get along with, some, like, right away. Others, it's an immediate judgment. But for me, it's like, I don't know what happened that morning for that person. Like, that, for all I know, like, they could have gotten rear-ended on their way here and had to get dropped off, and they're trying their best to just not fall apart and cry, during an Aries full moon week that's on Thursday. It informs my ability to be a more compassionate person, but also to uphold my own boundaries, and knowing, like, the behavior that like, I can explain the behavior, but I won't excuse it for something that somebody can impact me on deeply in a lot of ways. When I see them acting out of alignment with even if I don't know their design, I'm pretty good at being able in the first, like, 30 seconds to be like, oh, they probably have, like, Virgo or Aries, or they're probably Pisces like me, things like that. So it's exciting. I think that, like anything else, it's a tool that can be used, but, like, to remember that, like, we're also humans that are, like, meant to have fun. So to not be so analytical 25, 8 instead of that. So I love it, and I'm thankful, and I would rather be this way than blissfully ignorant in some ways. But yeah, it really has made me, in summary, just a much more compassionate person than I was at 20 years old, when I thought I knew everything and everyone else was wrong.
That's a 3-2 mind.
Yes, exactly.
I know that. Oh my gosh. Or the thing that just popped out at me when you were sharing that, and I think now I'm seeing how the word ease was going to move into this conversation. It's like boundaries. And now I'm thinking, like, how can human design help us into that space? Because I hear that a lot with clients and friends and things like that, is kind of like my Achilles heel with figuring out my boundaries. I go too far sometimes, or I'm not doing enough. And I feel like in there's some kind of magic sauce for ease of life. A little bit is this special magic word, boundaries.
Yes.
What say you to that?
Yes, thank you for asking that, because it's a really good question. So I always look at, when we're first looking at anyone's design or your own design, looking at your energy type. So there's one of 5 that you can be. And basically, if you follow your energy type and your strategy that comes with that, which is the action step, that the law of action, the action item that you can use to incorporate your energy type with ease, all the other dominoes or the complexities of your human design body graph really fall into place without you even having to, like, know every single thing and feel like overwhelmed by the info. So, for me, that, like, obviously, that I am a rabbit hole girl and I figured out everything that I needed to know about it, because it became like, such a, my career and the love of, my days, like the way that I see the world. So, when you're looking at your chart, knowing your energy or your aura type will really allow you to just say, like, okay, I know that I'm a generator or a manifesting generator. I have different things that I'm going to do. In 10 years, I may wake up and decide I'm going to be a lawyer. And instead of fighting that, I will flow in that direction, because I know that I can hang my human design hat up, know that it's run its course. But all of those lessons aren't lost on me for what I've needed it for. And I've had many jobs throughout my 20s. Every single job of mine served a purpose for the way that I act as an entrepreneur today, for that reason. So nothing is lost on you. And I think that knowing with your body graph, your human design, your chart, it allows you to look back at your experiences and not feel bad that you're not farther along, but like releasing it, accepting it for the lessons it taught you. And that, like, nothing happens by accident at the end of the day, like it's all, or it's all a learning experience that you can apply to inform the work that you're doing current day. So that's surrendering to, I feel like we have to be the perfect version and like capture lightning in a bottle and rush to get all these things done all the time, to prove everyone wrong, especially in a social media case for where we were. Oh, I'm not the Brenna that was in insurance. Like, look at how different I am now. But I'm like, no, the Brenna that did insurance actually really informed my ability to, like, not cry and to have boundaries and someone's yelling at me. Yeah, exactly. And to be like, that's a lot. And I'm sorry you're going through that. But that I can hold space for that. But I'm also just your human design reader. I'm not your therapist. I'm not your mom that didn't hear you out when you were crying. Like, I'm really aware of, like, knowing the role that I play in people's lives and acting accordingly. And I think as women, we're not taught that inherently. But for our human design, we can really look at, okay, well, I know that I operate emotionally best in this way. I can show up with compassion, but I'm not going to over martyr myself, which would be the negative use of this trait. So I jumped around at a couple different sections of your body graph, but I think the overview essentially is that when you know yourself so well, it allows you to just know how you can react without having to overreact to somebody's reaction to you. Again, it's really about the strategy rather than the reactionary response.
And then it's like, so it's like work to figure out our boundaries and how we are in a design, like what we start. I have this like rainbow on my face.
I love it. It's good.
I have to like move this out. It's a beautiful thing, but it doesn't it's like I have to keep dancing with it.
I love that.
Anyway.
Yes.
But yes, thank you, because I do feel like it's like the more you learn about yourself, the easier it is to kind of understand how to create your boundaries, how to react, how to respond. And I think this information is just like amazing. Like, I have my human design chart. I was just looking at it. I have it like up here next to my.
I love it. You have your packet.
I have my packet from our night, and I share it with people once in a while. Like, if a client comes up, like, you should check this out. Like, it's pretty cool.
I'm so glad.
But I think remembering to knowing thyself is like kind of like the ultimate way of empowerment, I think, and the link of coming back to, the wisdom and the people that have influenced us in our life, because it's actually forming like how we operate in this world, with all of those stories, with our past jobs, with our empowered women role models, with a little human design session. Like, it's all live, like, at the same time, hopefully. Hopefully we get to learn that a little bit.
100%. And I think that, like, it's so funny because there is this comedian, Tom Segura is his name, and I caught a little glimpse at the end of one of his specials. And I think, even like the best comedians or anyone who's in a public space, if you will, he was saying how something I think about honestly probably once a month, is that even in the pursuit of your goals, you're going to feel so much more accomplished. Even if you don't hit that 100% perfection target for what you think that you want, you actually feel so much more satisfied integrating even a little bit of this information, even if it's one piece of your design, because you're like, oh, wow, that really allowed me to relax and sit in my body. And I'm happy knowing I pursued something and just chipped away at it from a baby step path, if you will, instead of trying to make it 100% perfect right in the now. It's like, how can I chip away and just integrate? And I think people really, especially with human design, it's like, okay, I found this, I need to know everything about my body graph. And I love that passion. But I'm like, what if you just took one piece a day and just sat with, oh, I have a 2, like you do in your profile. I need to hermit more, right? Like, I know that I need to hermit. Am I feeling tired? And am I trying to go to this networking event today with 500 women? But I actually need to like lay down because I need a little bit of a break, and all I've been doing is networking and talking to other people, right? And just how that little pivot from one little, you know, maybe I would say 5%, if that, of your human design body graph can just help you relax and know that you're making a decision for you, whether or not it disappoints your friend that was going to go with you, right? It's like you can allow that person to be disappointed in you and say, hey, I'm sorry, I know you're going to be bummed because you had this plan, but I really need to rest today. And then if your friend gets annoyed with you, right, talking about boundaries, you get to decide, like, am I going to be like, oh, well, now I have to make it up to them. And, you know, I'll really try to go to their cousin's dog's birthday party next weekend because now I want to, and I'll cancel my appointment I had with that client, you know, and we can get into that like cycle. Whereas like, it's just like, hey, they were unhappy with me. I'm okay with them being unhappy with a decision that I've made. And, you know, everyone likes to be dramatic and say the villain in their story, but it's like, yeah, okay, we had a little discomfort, uncomfortable moment. If they're really my friend, they're going to understand that, yeah, I have been burning the candle at both ends. I need my rest. And it says nothing about our friendship. It's just like, I need a pause. So a helpful way to just see the boundaries in real time to kind of paint the picture. Because I've had experiences, that's a real life story. Something
same.
that, you know, has happened to you too.
I've been both friends.
Yes. Yes, it's true. Because you mean what, you know, the best and want people to celebrate with you. But I think that like I am, as much as I'm a planner, you know, and very organized and type A in a lot of ways, that has helped me a lot. It allows me in those moments where there's a wrench in my plan, you know, I can release it and be like, this isn't the way that I thought this was going to go, but what can I learn from this and what it says about what is my reaction to it and what, oh, there you go. And what I need to learn. There's like the hand gestures now. I know.
I just don't even move my
hands. An extra highlighted moment, I guess. Everyone needed to hear that part. Yes. But yeah,
like a period on it.
Yes, exactly. It's true. So I'll listen.
No. I do. I think it's like, it's so beautiful. And I think no matter what, like some of these sessions I'm seeing that, or these discussions, authenticity is such a buzzword and it's like used to death in a lot of ways. But the more I notice that like people are just on the journey to figure out like what is my authenticity? Like just being curious is like amazing. Like that's like a huge shift. And I think like reaching out to like someone like you to do a human design reading or just doing a grounding exercise just to see like what is it I need is just, it's like beyond probably 80% of the population on this planet does for themselves.
Yes.
You think that? Or is that, I mean, maybe 80's high, but like, it's getting more. It's getting more.
Yes. You're saying that you believe that 80% of people are looking for this or in the pursuit of getting better?
No, that they're not. It's like more than 80%. So it's like, it's rare for us to kind of be brave enough to wake up and check out who we are. Like that self-awareness.
Yes. And I have to say, I feel like I've been lucky where most of the people in my life at now are people who are along that path in some way with me. I think that the phase I'm at is like not comparing how accelerated I may be because I do this work every single, like this is my job, this is my career, this is my life, and not comparing like, oh, but you're a projector, your strategy is to wait for the invitation, like why do you keep inviting me to all of these things, and like it's causing a point of friction, or like why are we not doing this? But then I can have grace for them and being like, this is like I always say this, I'm not here to outsmart people of the lessons that they're supposed to learn.
Right.
And you actually, when we go to try to I've had experiences, and I had this conversation with somebody yesterday about coaches who then try to coach people that aren't their clients in real life because they're excited, right? And everything is a teachable moment, and that can be fine, but it's really being acutely aware of the energetics and if that person is even open to receiving it, or if you can see as a really good coach and mentor, am I interrupting a flow that I know with certainty after meeting with probably over 1,000 people I could accurately say in the last 8 years at this point. I know that me saying this thing, they may say like, oh yeah, I understand it. But I'm like, you don't, but you need life experience that I cannot, go into your body and enact as, XYZ sort of person to solve for you. That's a lesson that I can very clearly see that like you have to learn without my guidance. Cause also like, you're my friend. Like, I don't want to have to like,
Right.
I want to just be
Right.
able to be friends. Like, I need places where I can also rest and not be a mentor. I have people that pay me good money to, have that variation of time with me or that version of me. Whereas my friendships, hey, Rory, I just want them to be my friendships, and just like have moments and not always have to be in a coaching realm with them too, and that can be hard for us.
Yeah. And it's like trusting the moments that sometimes it is just planting the seed that like, this is a moment that they might circle back to this in a year from now after they, but knowing our own boundaries in the world of like how much we help,
Yes.
how much we share.
Yes.
Well, I'm
True.
very watching our
Yes.
time. I know we're wrapping up here for today, but I would love to pull a
Yes.
card with you if that's
Sounds good.
okay.
Absolutely. Anything that you want to try out, I'm down for. I love all of this. So.
Okay. Well, this is I love this deck. This is Emily Bolovitz's the Mystic Sisters Oracle deck.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, the crow. There's been a lot of symbolism here. The rainbow and the crow are also two connections to my grandmother and my grandfather that were in New Jersey. So the fact that you said that, yeah.
Well, it's crow season.
With
They're around and
yes.
they're spooky. Like
Yes.
I had my sun roof thing open in my car and one literally landed on my car and was like, ah! And I'm like,
yeah. You're like, okay, I'm listening. What do you need to tell me?
Yeah. Anyway, but this is a really beautiful deck. There's some pretty artwork in here. And so what I usually do is I'll start sort of shuffling as we're here together. And, thank you everyone that showed up on this live with us, or if you're watching later, just take a moment, like whatever card comes up, it might connect with you in a certain ways, but I already know that like this, it's always energy between me and my guest that pulls out like a weirdly interesting card.
Yes.
So you let me know when to stop. So
Okay.
I'm just shuffling.
Okay, I'll have you stop.
Stop now?
Yes.
Okay, Brenna, I'm stopping. Oh, okay, my gosh, it's like the cover of this. It is the Sage Goddess.
Oh, I love that. That's so beautiful.
All right, I'm gonna hold it up again, but I want to read quick. These are quick ones. It'd be cool if the raven came up.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, purification, cleansing. She's saging. She's the saging goddess. The ancient global practice of burning sage is not only for purifying a space or a person, but also to heighten spiritual clarity. The botanical name for sage, salvia, stems from the Latin word salvare, to heal, which is also the origin of the word salvation.
Oh.
The other qualities of sage, when burned, such as giving wisdom, clarity, and increasing spiritual awareness, are also indicated in the name. It's no accident that we refer to wise people as sages. The sage goddess calls you to cleanse your sacred spaces, to remove both physical and psychic toxins from your atmosphere, in order to more clearly envision the transcendental experience of life. She offers the opportunity to clear out the clutter of the mind and the heart, cut through the chatter of thought, and to find peace, order, and focus.
I love that.
What do you think? What are you getting from that?
So accurate. I just ordered, I have a bunch of the abalone or abalone shells.
Oh, yeah.
I always read the name, but I've never heard it said out loud. And as a vessel, and I actually have a little oyster shell that's from my, that I do have sage in right now. And I don't have sage, so I need to bring it down here because I finished the bundle. So it's a good reminder for me to pull from that. And just like to what you said, I think having, especially for those of us who have the two triangles in your human design body graph. I have a free generator in the link in my bio, but if they're white, we need to do daily cleansing for our third eye and our head or our crown chakra, just to like clear out the mental chatter. So it's a helpful reminder that I have not done that today, but it would be important for me to do that before I go to sleep. I believe you have at least one of them undefined. I think definitely the crown head, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah. I mean, Yes, I'm sure I do because I just,
Yes.
yes, I do. One is
Yes.
open.
Yes, because then you have the 5611 channel, which would connect your ajna to your throat, which is the storyteller channel.
Mm,
Also very Sagittarius. Gate 11 is a Sagittarius. Gate 56 is on the cusp of Cancer, and Leo too. So it's
okay.
like, it makes sense that you are a conduit for women telling their stories. Like it's very accurate
Yeah,
for you.
yeah, yeah.
But also a lot going on up here for sure.
Yes, Brenna.
Yes.
I'm gonna go get my sage when we're done and just
Yes.
kind of like clear house. But I
Yes.
love that for anybody watching this. I think it's always good to just clean house once in a while and to make sure how we're talking to ourselves, who we're surrounding ourselves with, if our place is feeling stagnant, move some furniture, whatever. Like,
I
just,
love that. No, it's so true, and I like that you talk about like the spiritual cleansing, but also like the cleansing of your home and the environment. I'm also very big into feng shui, and when we moved
Mhm,
into this house, I
mhm.
started. I decorated it, so I've been decorating it slowly but surely based on those principles. And it's very true. I'm like, where do I just need to like dust? Because I just feel like all of a sudden everything's cluttered and it clutters my
Yeah,
mind. So I'm very big in that mind body connection and how we exist in our spaces too. Um,
100%.
yeah. So
Absolutely. 100%, 100%, 100%. Especially for a hermit, I need to have a little
yes.
nesting done around here. Well, just to
Yes.
wrap today, as before we click off, please tell us what you have coming on
Yes.
soon, where people can reach you. I heard you have a generator on your website.
Yes. Yes, I have. Well, I'm so thankful to my projector web designer, Jacqueline. She has made a beautiful website for me. It's just my
Ooh.
name, BrennaKeeley.com, and a chart generator so you can create your own chart that is all in
Mm,
my brand
mhm,
colors to be very fancy. And essentially everything is there. I have all my readings that are available. If anyone's watching this, I for whatever I do a special event, I have a special code discount code for a 1 hour reading. So if you
mhm.
want to send me a DM for that, I always provide that. And I believe you have the link to Rachel. So if there's anyone that DMs you, they could get it from you as
Oh,
well.
absolutely.
Yeah, and then I have an 8 week mentorship program that is like one of the like greatest joys of what I do every single day. I work primarily with women who are just like, I know that I really want to be XYZ. Like I had Sandy yesterday who is wanting to be is a motivational public speaker now, wanted to be more of a motivational public speaker, who had a terrible fear of public speaking. And walk them through that journey using their human design. But the goal at the end of my 8 weeks is to be like, okay, you're ready to book a client today.
Mhm.
So like I'm not going to let you sleep on yourself. Like this is a tough love 8 weeks. Like we're getting you into gear, and really providing all the tools. I'm not just a human design mentor that is telling you what all these things mean. I believe in the practical application of it. So it's like,
Mhm.
okay, this is what it looks like to build your website based on these principles. This is the way that you're going to collect the money based on your human design. This is the way that you're going to market yourself. These are your keywords. That's all in my mentorship program. So I like to show people, again, practical application. This is cool, but why should you care about it if
Mhm.
it doesn't actually work? And we can't
Right.
apply it. So yeah.
That's so many
Yes.
ways to like work with Brenna. I feel like that's the key to it is like the practicality of saying, well, that's interesting. So how do I implement that? And
Yes.
how do I, and that's your beautiful guidance, I think is so helpful and the way that you share that too, because we don't know what we don't know. I don't know what I
It's so
don't
true. It's so true. And I think people don't realize how robust the
know.
system is where like anyone can use it within their business. You don't have to become like only be a human design reader to be able to use human design to inform your work. I think that it's a great way, especially for yourself as a life coach and mentor, like how to understand your clients and then also like pattern recognition
Mhm.
for who are the people that have similar qualities that are working for you and how do you speak their language.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
big thing that I'm seeing now. So especially because I get all the sponsored ads for it, being a human design mentor, but is I'm using your human design in your branding and marketing too, which I actively do. Just based on my everything with my body graph and that my home looks different from my branding and it's all very intentional.
Yeah.
So
Oh, it's so interesting. There's just so much.
yes,
There's so much to learn in human design.
there is.
But I just want to thank you really from the heart for coming today and sharing all of your wisdom and your stories. And I think this chat was just so much
I
fun. I always have
No,
so much fun with these.
thank you. I appreciate you opening your space and your online portal to me. And I always
Yes.
have fun talking with you about the work that we do and how it complements each other, how it's different, and I'm excited to be able to share you with my people too. So
Oh, I
the
love
ones that
it.
will connect in kindred spirits, probably a lot of my Sag women also.
Ooh, I know.
Yes, fellow Sages. Yes. Thank
Yeah,
you.
definitely. And so I'll connect in the chat here. I'm sorry, I'll put when I post this, I'll share this and I'll put all the information about Brenna's website and ways you can connect. And definitely, if you're rewatching this later, just listen in and open your mind to human design. Like I think it's just so fascinating. And there's more about that. I know we
Yes.
didn't dig deep into it today, but it's just one of those another tool in the toolbox that
Yes.
empowers us to live our best lives and. Yeah, I think that's it for
All
today.
right.
So thank you, Brenna,
Thank
and
you.
well, I'll definitely see you
Yes,
around.
I will. I appreciate you so much. I hope you have a
You
beautiful
too.
rest of your day.
You too. All right,
Thank
bye.
you.
See you. Take
Bye.
care.
Bye, everyone.